All right, the NBA season starts tonight, so we got to get our first power ranking of this season. Let's get started here. Starting off, we will have our key injuries that we currently have right now. I'm not going to read all of these. Go with the main ones. Porzingis out for 6 weeks. Paul George for the Sixers going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers going to be out. Basically, definitely, we never really know how long that is going to be. Mitchell Robinson's out about 6 weeks. I say out about 6 weeks. But other than that, you can pause it and look them yourself. Game 30 is going to be the Washington Wizards. They have not a lot of talent on team. It's fun to watch at points because their offense, I think, could be solid. I think it's their defense that's going to be pretty atrocious and going to lead them to be one of the worst teams, probably the worst team in the league, one of the worst teams of the last decade or so. Probably not worse than the Pistons of last year, but still very, very bad team. Night is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. This team, I think, is a big step up over the Wizards. They have a little bit of talent. Tim Thomas could average 20-plus points. He's pretty good. Nicholas Claxton is pretty good. Other than that, again, they really don't have a whole lot of talent on their team. They have a lot of young guys, too, that maybe could be interesting if they all can make a step up this year. It could actually be semi-competitive if Ben Simmons is magically a basketball player again. Maybe the Nets could actually be semi-competitive. But as of right now, I think they're going to be pretty bad. Number 28 is going to be the Chicago Bulls. Again, they don't have DeMar DeRozan. Nikola Vucevic is getting older. Zach LaVine, I think he's going to be pretty good this year. Rookie Montas Buzel should be solid. Kobe White, Josh Giddey, some decent pieces on the roster. I don't think they're necessarily a very bad team. Just definitely not a good team. They're not even close to being an average team like they have been in the last few seasons. Number 27 is going to be the Toronto Raptors. You can see those bottom four teams so far have been in the Eastern Conference. I think the bottom of the East is pretty atrocious compared to the rest of the league. The Raptors are the most talent out of any of these teams for sure. Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, guys like that. All of them, I think, are really solid players, but I just don't think their team's going to gel necessarily very well together, and they're going to be fun to watch. They could be competitive. I just don't see them being very good. Number 26 is going to be the Utah Jazz, my worst team in the Western Conference. They have a lot of talent, too. Colin Sexton's good. Jordan Clarkson good. Walker Kessler's good. Lamarckinen obviously pretty good. John Collins is pretty good. But they weren't even that good of a team last year. And I think it got slightly worse this year. They didn't make a whole lot of moves to improve the roster. And some guys are getting older. Jordan Clarkson's getting older. He's been a pretty good piece of their team recently. I don't think Lauri Markkanen is going to be really getting any better right now. I think this team could be fun to watch. They could be competitive, but not a very good team. Number 25, the Charlotte Hornets. It's going to be really fun to watch because LaMelo Ball, if he's healthy, is going to be really fun. Brandon Miller's really fun. Mark Williams, I think, is going to be pretty good if he's healthy this season, but this team is probably not going to be very good. It can be competitive, and in the Eastern Conference, they could win like 32 games and still be in contention for a play-in spot. So that's going to be something to look out for the Hornets. Still don't think they're a very good team. Number 24 is going to be the Detroit Pistons. Again, in the Eastern Conference, they could win 32 to 35 games and be in the contention for a play-in spot, which the Pistons are, I think the Pistons are a good enough team to win 35 games. I mean, they got Tobias Harris. They got some other good depth pieces for this team. I think the young guys are going to take another step up. So as long as they're young, they take a step up, this team should be close to a 35-win team. And then that's going to probably be good enough to fight for a play-in spot here for Detroit. Still, overall, compared to all the teams, they're not very good. Number 23 is going to be Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference. This team is going to be really fun. We got a lot of good guys in the roster. Anthony Simons is good. Shaedon Sharp is good. He's injured right now for a few weeks at least. Denny Avdia, I think, is pretty good for the Jeremy Grant. Jack A and Donovan Clingan. So many good individual players, I feel like. But still, I don't think the team as a whole is going to be very good. Number 22 is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard is injured for who knows how long. He could be injured, honestly, for the entire season because he's dealt with the same injury basically since, at the very least, it's since July because they were talking about him being on Team USA, but then he had an injury issue. They were saying he'd be 100% ready by preseason. That didn't happen, and now they're saying they don't even know. They don't have any sort of timetable for Kawhi Leonard's return, and that worries me. He's been injured at the bare minimum for 3 months already, and we still have no timetable for return. So I don't think Kawhi Leonard's going to play at least for a while. Even if he does play this year, he's probably not going to play a lot of games before he gets injured again. And outside of Kawhi, I mean, they have James Harden. They have some decent role players on their team, but that's just not going to be a very good team with James Harden trying to lead the rest of the squad. Number 21, the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to be right around the same tier of team that they were last year. They did lose Dejounte Murray, but they have Alexander Sarr. I think they have a couple of the guys that are going to make a step up. Jalen Johnson, I think, is going to be pretty good for them this season. Overall, Trae Young's pretty good still. They're going to be a competitive team. Not like a very competitive, but as far as the Eastern Conference, they're probably going to be a play-in lock. So it's going to be semi-competitive there in the East. They're going to be a fun team to watch, and yeah, a pretty solid low-tier team in the Eastern Conference. Number 20 is going to be the San Antonio Spurs here. With Wemby and Chris Paul, this team is going to be must-watch TV. Chris Paul should average like 10 assists a game to Victor Wembanyama without much hesitation. It shouldn't be that difficult for Wemby to be an absolute boss in this game this season, but I still don't think the team as a whole is going to perform extremely well. They're going to have good individual pieces, hopefully, from Wemby, from Keldon Johnson, hopefully Devin Vassell, some of those younger type guys. But again, as a whole, I don't think their team is going to be, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be competitive, but I don't think they're going to be, a really good team this year. Number 19 is going to be the Houston Rockets. I believe they went like 41-41 last year. So they're going to be, again, right around like a mid-tier kind of team. Right now, I think they're going to be pretty solid. They have a lot of guys. They have practically the same roster from last year, I believe. They do have Steven Adams this year. I think it's going to be good for them. Again, a lot of good pieces. Cam Whitmore, I think, is going to take a big step up for them. But overall, still, they could be a low-tier playoff team in the Western Conference, but not much better than that. They're not really going to be in the top half of the teams quite yet. Number 18, Golden State Warriors, kind of the same thing for them. They did revamp their depth pieces quite a bit here, getting Buddy Hield, losing Klay Thompson, stuff like that. They're going to be fun to watch because obviously Stephen Curry, they're going to be shooting a lot of threes, even without Klay Thompson. Buddy Hield's a sharpshooter, and stuff like that. But I don't think the team as a whole is going to be very good. They could be competitive. They could fight for a play-in spot, but I don't think they're going to be, anywhere close to a title contender this year. Number 17, the New Orleans Pelicans. I do like this roster quite a bit. CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. That's a pretty good top 4 guys right there. But outside of that, they do have good depth pieces as well. Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and stuff like that. But still, I think this team is very defensive heavy. They do not have a whole lot of star power on the offensive side of the ball as far as three-point shooting goes specifically. And I think that's going to be a pretty big problem for them. They're going to be a playoff team, probably. At the very least, they should be a play-in lock here in the Western Conference. But I don't really have a whole lot of hope for them to do much here come playoff time. Number 16 is going to be the Orlando Magic. They're a good up-and-coming team last year. I don't really expect a whole lot of improvement, mostly because a lot of the other teams in the Eastern Conference, I think, are still very, very competitive as well. Paolo Banchero could take a step up. Some of the other young guys could take a step up. Getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in here is going to help them quite a bit there as well. But still, overall, they're going to be very competitive. They're going to be a good low-tier playoff team in the Eastern Conference. But well, beyond that, not much going on for them. Number 15. Miami Heat. They've been basically a mid-regular season team for the last 5 or so years. I don't really expect much difference out of this year from them. They're going to be solid. There's no reason they're not going to be a playoff team here in the Eastern Conference. But I do think in the regular season they're just going to be right around the middle of the pack. I do think they could be good come playoff time. But again, in the regular season, the Heat are probably going to finish a 7 or 8 seed, and that averages out to being the number 15th best team in the league. Number 14 here is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies. If healthy, they're going to be a good team. John Morant is a really good player if he's healthy. Marcus Smart's going to be really good for them if he's healthy as well. I'm excited to see what a healthy season can look like for this Grizzlies team with John Morant, Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and rookie Zach Edey. That's an extremely fun starting lineup there. If they're all healthy, that's a very good defensive starting lineup as well. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't really know what happened there, but let's just move on to number 13, which is the Los Angeles Lakers. This team obviously going to be really good with Ron AD. They have better depth around them this year. Dalton Knecht, I think, is going to be really good for them. If guys like Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood can be pretty healthy this year, that should help them out a lot. The main reason from last year why they weren't as good as people thought they would be is because, again, depth guys like Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, and Gabe Vincent were injured like almost the entire year. So if all those guys can be healthy, this team should be improved from last year. And I think Dalton Knecht is going to be a very, very big piece for them. Number 12 is going to be the Indiana Pacers. They're a solid team. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, so that kind of makes me think that they should be a little bit higher on this list. But I do think they did not really do much to get better this offseason, which they don't really need to. Again, they traded for Pascal Siakam at the trade deadline last year. So getting a whole season of Halliburton and Pascal Siakam is going to make this team, should make this team that much better as a whole. But I still think they're not going to be, I don't think they're going to be a top half. I don't think they're going to be a top 4 playoff team in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be kind of that low tier playoff team, but they're still going to be really, really good this year. Number 11 is going to be Cleveland Cavaliers. Same thing for them, kind of like the Pacers. They didn't really do anything to get better this offseason, which they don't really need to if they can just rely on Evan Mobley's progression, some other bench guys' progression. Rookie Jalen Tyson could be good for them, hopefully. Darius Garland, hopefully he can have a kind of a bounce back year. Last year was kind of bad for him. If Garland can have a better year this year, Evan Mobley gets a little bit better. This team should be slightly improved. I think they're certainly, borderline top 10 team in the league right now. They should be a lock to be a playoff team. They should be right in their level there for a top 4 Eastern Conference seed. And they're certainly, close to a top 10 team in the league. Number 10 here is going to be the Sacramento Kings. I'm really interested to see how DeMar DeRozan fits in with this new team. Other than that, this team is practically the same. They lost Harrison Barnes for DeMar DeRozan. But most of their depth is going to be the exact same as last year, which is good because they had a really good team last year. They just had to deal with injuries towards the end of the season, which kind of certainly ruined their playoff chances there. But this team, I think, is certainly a playoff lock if all their guys are healthy. Number 9, going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. Paul George is injured right now, so they could be a couple of spots higher if he was healthy. He should only be out for a couple of weeks, which is good because if they lose him for too long, this team definitely could fall back a few spots here, a few spots more on my list. But with Paul George, I think they move up probably to a top 7 or so team in the league. But still, this team should be really fun to watch. They should be really good. Jared McCain, I think, is going to be a solid rookie for them. There's some other good depth pieces on this team that I'm really excited about. Number 8 is going to be the Phoenix Suns. The main issue with the Suns last year was their depth. I think they fixed that quite a bit. They have Tyus Jones this year, the starting point guard. He's really solid. Their other depth guys I think are going to be pretty good. They got Ryan Dunn, I believe, from Virginia. He could be a solid piece for them as well. Obviously, with the star power of Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, they should be a top 10 team in the league. And with a better depth than they had last year, I'm certainly feeling that number 8 is a solid spot for them. Number 7 is going to be the Dallas Mavericks. With Klay Thompson on this team that went to the NBA Finals last year. I don't know why it's doing that. But with Klay Thompson coming to a team that went to the finals last year, you could think that they should be higher than number 7. But still, I don't think in the regular season that they're going to be an elite team. Like 50 wins could be a possibility for them. I don't think they're going to be among the top half of the teams in the Western Conference. Like they could sneak in to be the number 4 team in the West, but there's certainly a lot of teams that got a lot better this offseason. I don't think the Mavs, they did add Klay Thompson, obviously, but I don't think they really improved all that much from last season. Number 6 here is going to be Milwaukee. If Chris Middleton can be healthy, I hope he is. He's not currently healthy right now. We'll kind of see how that goes. He's not playing in the season opener for sure. But if he's healthy, this team's going to be really good. They have better depth than last year. They got Gary Trent. I believe they got some other guys. I can't really remember all the names off the top of my head, but I think they do have better depth than last year, which should be good. If their guys are healthy in the playoffs, there's no reason. If they're healthy during the regular season, I'm sorry, there's no reason they're not a top 3 team in the league in the East Conference, and that leads to them being a top 6 team overall. Number 5 here is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they're going to be a dominant regular season team, certainly over a team like the Dallas Mavericks, even though the Mavericks obviously went farther in the playoffs last year. The Timberwolves traded Cat for Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. That's about the only moves they made this offseason. Other than that, mostly just re-signed a lot of their guys, which is good for them because they were a really good team last year. I think Anthony Edwards is going to lead this team to be a top 3 team in the Western Conference once again. They're going to be absolutely dominant in the regular season. Probably get close to 55 or so wins. Number 4 here is going to be the New York Knicks. I have them at number 4 right now, mostly because Mitchell Robinson's injured for 6 weeks. That definitely hurts their team a little bit. I think they're going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference, but I cannot put them any higher here on this list, mostly because of that Mitchell Robinson injury. Certainly a factor coming into this. Number 3 here is going to be the Denver Nuggets. I think that they're going to be a really dominant team in the regular season. They should be, if their guys are healthy. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, Nikola Jokic, they have better depth than last year for sure. They have Russell Westbrook now. They have Dario Saric, I believe, who's going to be pretty solid for them. Julian Strother's looking really, really good here in preseason so far. So there should be a better team, a better depth than last year, which should lead them to having a better regular season record, or at least looking like a better regular season team, even if the record's slightly worse. But they should be a top 3 team in the league, no doubt, right now. Number 2 is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have some injuries to deal with. Isaiah Hartenstein's going to be out for about 6 or so weeks as well. But other than that, their depth on their team is amazing. Still, Alex Caruso, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, a whole bunch of guys that are really, really good on this team. I think they're definitely the best team in the Western Conference. Number 1 is going to be the Boston Celtics. I do think the Knicks will have a better record than the Celtics, but as of right now, with their injuries that they have, the Celtics are without Kristaps Porzingis, but I still think they're going to have a better shot of doing really good here to start the season off in the first few weeks. They're going to be absolutely dominant, in my opinion, and that's why they're going to start off as the number 1 team here in my power rankings. That is going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check back next week for an updated power rankings list, and I will have player positional rankings coming out later this week.